Welcome to Distribution Talk with Jason Bader, the show where we dive into the stories, struggles, and solutions from business owners and thought leaders in the wholesale distribution market. Hey friends, Jason here. In this episode, I had the pleasure of catching up with Jeff Peterson, CEO of Geneva Supply in Interstate Music. When I first interviewed Jeff back in 2019, he was 100% focused on growing and expanding the Geneva Supply footprint. But just as the business was beginning to get into a predictable groove, fate came knocking in the form of a 75-year-old music retailer. Acquiring and rebuilding a failing music business had never been on the radar. But that's what feeds the entrepreneur, attacking a problem with a new angle or fresh set of eyes. This realization of what drives him has led Jeff to fuel his passion for creation and share the things that make him successful. While others might be looking at their career finish line, I have a feeling that Jeff is just getting started. I hope you enjoy our conversation. This episode of Distribution Talk is sponsored by InSQL Distribution Software. InSQL is a fully functional distribution-based software package, and these folks do it very well at a price point many smaller distributors can afford. Another thing I like about this company is they do it all in-house. They take on these applications and build them into the platform using state-of-the-art Microsoft technology. No third-party bolt-ons for them. This is important because when you need technical assistance, they are the single point of contact. If you're ready to step up to a fully loaded, scalable distribution package at an affordable price, look no further than InSQL Distribution Software at www.insql.com. That's INXSQL.com. Well, hey, Jeff, welcome back to Distribution Talk. You know, one of the funny things, I was looking back and you were episode 21 of the show. And
now I'm episode 22?
Yes, you are. You're episode 22. You have got it right. Actually, I'm going to say you're probably going to be around episode 110. I don't look anymore.
Wow, that's amazing. That's good for you.
It is kind of funny, though. I mean, And I was looking back at my original business plan for this show. And part of the business plan was writing down who could I get on my interview. So I had 20, all these people, who could I get on my interview list? And you were on that original list, my friend.
Nice.
So I'm glad you jumped on there. And I'm actually still doing this thing, for better or for worse. I still have it rolling. So thanks for taking the time. Welcome back. This is always a pleasure to, and I love following your social media stuff and where you're going. So the last time we talked, you were deep in Geneva Supply. And, you had that and you built that thing. And we talked about the departure from your previous employer, who we both know, and,
right?
Where you wound up. But you've done a whole lot since the last time you and I have spoken. So let's talk about from 2019 on, where have you been?
I think for both of us, you on episode whatever 110, I've still been doing the Geneva Supply thing for now, I'm staring at like 13 years or whatever. So it's kind of cool. Somebody sent me one of those little notifications that like 3 years ago, we were doing this. Can you believe it? And it really started to make me realize how long I've been doing what I've been doing and how many companies don't get to say that they've been doing it for 13 years and still growing and still being profitable and successful and through some of the crazy times that we've had since we've last talked.
Sure.
So I'm blessed in that way and surrounded with a team of energized people that see a vision and a mission and goals and take them on personally, which has gotten us to where we're talking today. And I'm still Geneva Supply, it's kind of a cool thing. And we're doing so much more business because of the partners that we've had for years, recommending us and referring us and connecting us to other companies that they're friends with or they know that think they would benefit from what we do. I've yet to, and I keep saying this, scream from the mountaintops about who we are and what we do. And it's weird that I haven't had to. I'm going to. In the next 30 days, I've got a big launch that's planned to finally scream from the mountaintops. But it's one of those things, I've had a great run and I enjoy it every single day. It's a unique style company,
Sure.
a lot of directions and niches. So it's kept things interesting. But a big change that was not ever in my thoughts was actually not just growing what we do and building on what we do, but we made an acquisition back in July of 2020 of a music company. During the pandemic, actually got a phone call from a longtime brick and mortar music retail store here in the state of Wisconsin, literally around for like 75 years.
Okay.
So just a staple in Wisconsin, and honestly, a staple, in the Midwest, very known. And they reached out and said, hey, we're in bankruptcy, but saw that you won Small Business Persons of the Year. And through that, learned your story about what you did for business and the whole Amazon e-commerce focus. We do a little bit of that too. You should buy us. And I was like, okay, all right. So just because you did some of it, but you're bankrupt, I should buy you because
you're Business Person of the Year. So of course you're going to be able to buy me. Yeah.
Right. I'm just loaded. It's just like, ooh, there we go.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, I've never had somebody randomly call me up and say, hey, we do a little bit of what you do. You should buy us. By the way, we're in bankruptcy. So it was an interesting conversation, but then it was one of those, wait a second. Okay. This is an opportunity.
Sure.
I'm going to do the due diligence. I'm going to look into this. And during that shelter in place where we all learned what Zoom was on a regular basis, I talked to every music manufacturer that existed, talked to them to find out, will they do business with me? Because they don't have to do business with me if I bought that company out of bankruptcy. They could just part ways and leave and be upset that they're still owed money from the other company.
Right.
I had to make sure that I was even going to potentially acquire something that had sustainability. So during that time, I got to meet presidents, CEOs, owners of all these music manufacturers known to man, and really got to meet a lot of neat people and really learn about what that industry was, what all their strengths have been, their challenges in the way they've gone to market, what they love about the way they've been doing it, and what they're open to as far as the move forward plan, especially at that time where everybody kind of went, oh, whoa, okay, brick and mortar retail stores are closed. That's changing, but a bunch of people are taking music back up seriously because they're sitting at home. So our numbers are great, but our stores that sell our stuff are closed. So
what's going to happen here? Yeah. Where's our outlet? Now, just for clarification, the products that you were looking at, I mean, was this the musical instruments?
Fender guitar, Pearl drum, DW drum, Conn-Selmer, brass and woodwinds, all of them. Marshall amps, Roland keyboard, like everything.
Okay. All right. So big names that we all know.
And I was meeting the coolest people. And then I was getting put in contact with their marketing teams because we had no desire whatsoever to keep a brick and mortar retail store open.
Right.
Because for a couple of reasons. A, the music industry really challenges a brick and mortar retail store in the sense that they want them to carry selection. And there's so many different brands and so many wants from manufacturers for them to carry certain selections, certain products in order to represent them properly. And that's really hard to guess and really hard to do when you're sitting in a location that really can't span as far as you'd want to span unless they have their own e-commerce platform, et cetera. So they had their challenges. They were around for 75 years and something was going wrong and it wasn't working for them. And I don't want to own a brick and mortar storefront of any type.
No, that's not what you all built. I mean, really, let's face it. That's not what Geneva Supply was.
If I'm doing that, I'm going back in the bar business.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go back in the bar business. I'm going to have some fun with it, do that kind of thing, but I'm not going to do a retail store. So after it was all said and done, it ended up making sense because a lot of the manufacturers still needed what we do as Geneva Supply.
Yeah.
And that is handling content optimization, brand strategy, digital marketing on the Amazon platform, as well as figuring out strategies for them to go onto other platforms, whether it's Target.com, Walmart.com, Reverb, eBay. Where do they fit? Where do they want to fit? And what makes sense for them? And for us to be able to be an outsourced kind of strategic firm in some cases, just to guide them with our experience and working with their internal people that have the vision of the manufacturer itself, and then using us to help kind of round out the corners.
Right.
So it really worked out well. Ended up acquiring their intellectual property. So all of that,
Okay.
didn't buy the business, so we didn't have to worry about that. Didn't even have to buy any inventory from them, just the intellectual property. And then the kicker was, you said, like every deal known to man, especially out of a bankruptcy, you go there and they're saying, oh, we did this much money on our own e-commerce interstatemusic.com business. And they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's good. Boom, boom, boom. That's an opportunity. And then you get into it and you realize you type in drum kit as a general search and a guitar shows up. And you're like, oh, this is not a good site.
This was not built. Yeah, this was not built. I just wasn't built with the user experience. That's like,
No.
yeah.
It's like, oh, drums are so heavy. You should play guitar instead.
Yeah.
So we had to revamp the whole website and build it in-house from scratch. So, but it really gave us a new opportunity because the music category, there's big competitors out there that have been doing e-commerce music for a long time and doing it really, really, really well. However, they're not selling to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
They're not helping a manufacturer sell on a different platform in a different way. So that was our niche to them and that value add to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we kind of fit into it. Now, the big challenge is that made it worth us acquiring it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That chunk of business.
Now, were any of you really musically inclined? I mean, you or I think Becker, any of these?
I played saxophone in 4th grade for a month.
Okay.
For a month. Then they put this sheet music in front of me. I'm like,
nope.
I'm like, that is, and it was heavy. You know, it is like a big, heavy case.
Right.
You know,
right.
throwing it into mom's car when she dropped me off. It's going back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm like, carrying across the parking lot to the music room for lessons. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to do baseball, basketball, football. I'm not doing saxophone. Now, however, in hindsight, like I think so many adults, when they look back, man, I wish I learned guitar.
Right.
Wish I learned piano. Wish I kept the saxophone.
Wish I had stuck with that.
All of that stuff.
Yep.
And I'm really jealous and I really admire musicians for that reason. So my passion has always been original music, live music. Because when I did own my bar for 7 years, I had live music come in and it was all original. I never booked cover bands. I always went the original side because those were always the people that I felt like needed a platform, needed a place to play and help them through it and stuff like that. So I managed a few bands back in the day. And so it was fun, and I love that side of it. So knowing that we weren't going to compete on interstatemusic.com to sell a guitar up against like a Sweetwater or an Amazon, I'm like, I'm not going to spend $1 million in marketing spend to sell a MAP $799 Fender guitar because I'm not going to win that battle. No. They've been doing it for years in the traction. So I took a twist and I went all the way back to my bar days when I'm like, I really love original music and the musicians and the passion behind it. I'm going to go musician first mentality. And I'm going to figure out for Interstate Music, you'll figure out that we sell stuff when you figure out that we sell stuff. But for right now, I want to reach out and connect to musicians that need a platform to elevate what they do, who they are. And that's what Interstate Music is. And oh, by the way, we sell gear. And it's been a lot more fun because eventually, someday, my hope is that every musician knows Interstate Music exists and that we're musicians first as far as their music, not their needs as far as gear, and not as a sale, but as a person and an artist first.
Right.
And someday, hopefully they go, hey, Interstate Music, they're there for the musician. I'm going to buy from them.
Right. We're going to support this because they support us.
Yeah.
And they help me get to where I want to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a long play and probably a really, 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 really long play. However, it is fun as hell. And I've gotten a chance to meet so many cool people and gotten really strong ties into Nashville and have had some amazing artists that have already come. And we built out a 1,600 square foot, 125, 150 capacity event space with full stage, full production. Hell, we've got a confetti machine, we got a video wall. We've got the hazers, everything you can imagine. And we've brought some amazing singer-songwriters up here, Bryce Long and Mark Nessler, who've written #1 hits in country music for all the artists that you know, even if you're not a country music fan. And then, for example, a Drake Milligan, who's coming back out here to play, who's on America's Got Talent right now in the finals. And he was here a year ago, right when we first started. And he's coming back because he just loved playing here, because it's more like family. It's not a typical venue. So we're just doing it different. And I think that's always been the way I've tried to do things. I guess not even tried to. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like the way I do things different. I think different. I think kind of like if somebody's already doing it this way over and over and over again, mm-hmm. How do I compete doing it the way they're doing it or the way everybody's doing it? It's just going to cost more money to try to compete with them if I just do it that way. So if you do it differently, there might be a niche and an avenue that nobody's explored, and it might bring you to a place that makes money someday.
Well, and Jeff, I think that, when this opportunity came your way, first of all, you're like, what do you think? Am I the guy? And then all of a sudden you say, you know what? I need some creative juice going right now. And maybe at this time, and again, I'm not sure, but maybe at this time, you had kind of got the Geneva Supply thing running, well. And well is boring to people who just, know things.
Right.
Well, and a well-oiled machine is uncomfortable for those of us who like to break stuff and try something and put ourselves out there.
That's a very, very, very good point and I don't know that and I self-assess a lot. I don't think I ever asked myself, are you interested in this because you're bored with how easy it feels? Now, I'm not saying Geneva Supply's business is easy.
Totally understand.
But I'm already used to the problems and the challenges and the roller coaster of that. If you ride the same roller coaster, 10 times in the same day, it's not scary the last time. It was scary the first 3 times.
Right.
So to your point, it's finding that comfort zone and liking feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For some whack ass reason.
I know exactly. It's like, but then again, it's not like you were creating Geneva Supply to be a lifestyle business. Again, knowing you for a little bit, for several years now, that just doesn't seem to fit you. It's not your MO.
No, what fits me for Geneva Supply is it's not necessarily the end result for a manufacturer on an Amazon platform or an e-commerce platform and solving some of those. It's getting the people that I know and work with from those manufacturers to look differently at what their traditional business is and have them think differently. And the relationships that you build, that's always been where my energy came from. Mm-hmm. It was never like the volume of business that we were doing with everybody.
Right.
It never was that for me. It's never been that for me. It's always been getting them from A to B to C to D to X, Y, and then at some point Z, and having them be like, damn, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And always wanting them to go into work and go into a meeting and having everybody think that they're the coolest person in the room because of something that we're doing to help them be the coolest person in the room. That's always been the way I want to partner with people.
Well, again, it's that energy that you get, the enthusiasm. A person recently shared with me that I am a person who likes to start things and to run with things, but I don't necessarily have to be the person who finishes it.
As long as you're handing it off to somebody that's qualified to take it.
And I think I'm hearing a little bit of that as well in you.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is that. And I've always, one of my biggest strengths has been surrounding myself with people that can do it all and that can that literally are the smartest people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to be. And I've said this a million times, but my dad always said, hire people that someday could take your job from you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do that, you're never going to push yourself to be better, think differently. And my problem is I've hired a whole bunch of those people. So when I'm in a room and looking around, I'm like, I mean, they still need me, right? It's like, they don't just like having me around just because I'll crack a joke. I mean, they still need me, right? So, and at some point the goal is they don't, and
Right.
that has to be the end goal is they don't need me for everything that I do. And then it becomes, but we want you around.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that strategy.
Well, and again, you become the company meddler at that point. You're the stirrer of the pot.
Not giving up the office.
Yeah. You're keeping the office. No, nice office. Let me take a little bit of a departure here. And I think as part of this is not only do you like starting things, but it's that sharing of the experience and bringing others with you and sharing that. And I want to step over and talk a little bit about BizTank. And I know, you've been doing that a while. Tell me a little bit about BizTank and kind of how that feeds you or kind of fits in this whole world.
Again, I think it comes down to looking at some of the challenges that are around us in business. And then always, because we were a successful company, people would approach us to speak to schools and kids and that kind of thing. Or, hey, can they job shadow for this business class that they're taking or something? And I started to realize that there's that gap in high school juniors and seniors where they were having to make what felt like to them the biggest weight decision. Do I need to go to college? I really don't want to go to school anymore. Do I have to though?
Right.
I don't. What am I going to do? If I'm going to college, I'm 100% going to college. What's my career going to be? What do I want to be for the rest of my life? So what college is best for me? What classes? What's my major going to be? And what's the best minor to have with that major? And they're trying to make this as a junior and senior.
17 years old, 17, 18, how daunting a decision it is. You're like supposed to be mapping out the rest of your life at 17. I mean, that's crazy.
And if we sit there and stare at our LinkedIn profiles, which we've probably cleaned up and consolidated dramatically so we don't look like we've worked 42 jobs, we've all been doing different things with our lives. Why should they think that they're not going to be able to figure themselves out and learn their likes and dislikes as they mature and as they grow? And yes, education is important and in some cases more important depending on what you're going to do, but you don't have to have it all figured out and mapped out. In fact, you're not going to.
Right.
And I say that in a general term. There's going to be some of those kids that absolutely have their life figured out and this is what I'm going to do. But sometimes those kids are just doing it because they said that's what they had to do. And then the personality that's like, I'm only successful if I do what I thought I was going to do.
Sure.
But the reality is a general statement, which is going to hit the bullseye most of the time is you're going to go to college and you're going to take those classes and you're going to major in whatever you major in and you're going to graduate. And the odds of you actually working in a career path that has anything to do with what your degree was in is 50-50 at best.
Oh, I'd say at very best. Yeah. I mean,
so a well-rounded education and taking a lot of different types of coursework. And my biggest thing is don't do the one internship. I'm a big fan of go and intern for 3 weeks at a company, go to another one and intern for 2 weeks, go to one and intern for 3 days, go out there and explore a whole bunch of different careers and companies and just get a feel for what's really out there. And that's what BizTank is. It's letting high school juniors and seniors know, listen, the weight of the world is on your shoulders right now because it's natural that you're letting it be there because all these questions are being asked of you. But take a deep breath. This is hear from all of these different people in business and people in different career paths and what their journey was to get them to where they are. And if you're looking at them and thinking that they're successful in what they're doing, listen to their journey.
Right.
And realize that that roadmap can be a lot of left turns, right turns, and U-turns and roadblocks and road construction and bridge out and gas stations that are 3 miles away and you're out of gas. It's that's life. And prepare yourself for that mindset more than a specific career, and keep exploring and keep the journey as the focus. And yeah, we don't want to go all over the place if we don't have to, but be okay with it if it just takes you there.
Yeah.
So BizTank is about giving exposure to high school juniors and seniors from across the country at this point, different people that have done different things and have a story to tell and a journey to share and that are willing to do it, and give them the confidence to be a little not so confident.
Right. And again, I think it's almost tragic that we ask these kids at 16 to 17 years old to map out the rest of their life and well, choose the college that is going to get you this.
I've never done anything. I've mowed lawns.
The older I get, I figure out.
I've shoveled snow.
Right.
But what do I want to be? I want to be whatever the person that's driving that really expensive convertible that lives on the lake. I want to be that.
Right.
It's like, what do they do? Oh, they're a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. Yeah, I'll be a lawyer.
I'll be a lawyer.
You've got summers off. I want to be a teacher. So many kids think that they want to be a teacher because of what reason? Because they're around teachers the majority of their life and they know what teachers do.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they become a teacher and they're like, I hate kids.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I a teacher? It's like, wait a second. I didn't realize I didn't love working with kids because I was a kid when I was job shadowing all these teachers for my entire life. And I thought, oh, summer's off, cool job. You get to do all this cool stuff. Yeah, but that's from a kid's point of view.
Yeah.
But so many people want to be teachers because it's what becomes comfortable. So we have to let kids get exposed to more so that they can get comfortable with more options and opportunities to realize when they get their driver's license at age 16 and they're driving by all these businesses, they're full of jobs that they don't even know exist.
Right.
And we are doing nothing to expose them to let them know these jobs exist.
Jeff, is funny. When I started into my coaching consulting career 19 years ago, it was absolutely amazing. You're going and seeing all these different companies. And again, in the distribution space, but still all these different ways that people make money and they have a living and they have a career. That was my awe. I was just absolutely in awe looking at all these. And I carried that for a very long time because it was just so fascinating to me. And, the show here has rekindled that.
Yes.
I hear all of these things and it sounds to me like that's really what you're hoping that these kids take is that awe. That sense of awe is what is out there.
And I don't want to be cliche and I never remember like the big cliche statements anyway. So I always say I don't want to be cliche. So I have the reason why I say it different because I don't remember right. But I don't want to be cliche and say that, the kids are our future. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest. They are.
Yeah.
And even if we're not worried about what world is going to be like when they're 30 years older, because I'm going to be 30 years older and I'm going to get cynical and crotchety, and listen to sports talk radio and argue with the radio. That's what I figure I'm going to be 30 years from now, right?
Right.
My happy retirement. Yeah. So I think what we have to do is basically say, we've all been down this journey, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
And if you don't like what you did and you've always hated your choices, still be the person that shares what you think your journey could have been or should have been, or opportunities that you had that you didn't take advantage of. Share your story, good, bad, or indifferent. Our responsibility to the kids is really sharing not forcing our opinions,
right?
Not forcing direction, but sharing and being open to being asked questions.
Yeah.
And don't make everything wonderful.
Right.
Tell them the truth. These kids can handle it. If you had a problem and this was a challenge and this broke and that happened and you screwed up and you lost all this money, tell them. What's your ego that you think that they're going to post on social media? Oh, Jeff Peterson, he failed when he did this. What a loser, lame,
Right.
It's like, whatever. It's like, be okay with how you got to where you are because you got to where you are because you made your own decisions when you made them.
Yeah. And as you said, give them that permission
Yeah.
to do the same thing. It's show them it's okay. You can fail many times, but you're still getting up and you're going to step up to the plate again.
Yep.
And you're going to get a hit. And that's a great thing. And, frankly, I tend to learn more from my mistakes than my successes,
Every time, and I say this, I'll get one of our brand managers, or they'll come in and say, hey, this manufacturer's really upset because of this, this, and this. And I'm worried. And I'm like, what are you worried about? Well, what if they leave us? Well, why would they leave us? Well, because they're upset about this. I'm like, well, we all have moods. We all have people above us. We don't know where this is coming from. And every time I've been in business and there's been a challenge of fear of loss of business or fear of admitting to we screwed up maybe on something and not admit, whenever that happened, it's the way that you handle it that either solidifies that partnership and relationship for years and years to come, or absolutely ends it on the spot. Like, you're the one that ends it, not them because they were upset, because of the way you handled it is what ended it. So I always look at it and say the biggest opportunities we have are with current clients during challenging times, because that is like an unwritten contract extension. Because if you can help them through and find peace of mind for them, you might have a 1-year contract that turned into a 3-year contract because they have the confidence in a different way with you because of that challenge that was so heavy for them.
Jeff, thinking about, some of the people that you've invited in to speak to, was Jesse Cole one of these people that you invited in?
Yeah, Jesse Cole, that dude, I love him.
Well, first of all, explain who it is for the people who might not have run across this guy yet.
Jesse Cole, if you haven't seen or heard of him, it's probably because you're not at all involved in following sports of any kind, or you're not on LinkedIn, all right, or social media for that matter.
Right.
He is the owner of the Savannah Bananas out of, obviously, Savannah, Georgia. And it is, I'll keep it kind of basic, a summer league team for college players from all over the country at different levels of college to continue playing baseball during the summer in a league that is a competitive league that allows them to keep playing, not against any college rules in this net because they're not getting paid, et cetera. And then they go back to their universities after that summer season. They live with different people in Savannah, Georgia. They take them into their homes and they live there for the summer and, that kind of thing. So it's really a cool thing. It's very similar to the Cape Cod League that's been around forever and ever, where college kids go out to the East Coast. They live on Cape Cod and they have these games and they play in these small fields, and it's a cool vibe feeling. Well, Jesse Cole ended up basically buying the Savannah Bananas franchise. And it was not the Savannah Bananas. He bought the opportunity to bring that summer league team to Savannah, Georgia. And he will tell stories. And if you listen to the podcast that I had him on not that long ago, there's a lot of backstory to it. But in the end, he put everything on the line because of wanting to be successful and do things differently, to the point of sleeping on an air mattress and selling his home to basically cover payroll and get it off the ground and started. And now what he's brought it to is literally the most entertaining baseball game you could ever go to, because he took what baseball isn't and turned it into fun to go to a game instead of sitting through these long innings and just being happy to drink beer and eat a hot dog outside on a nice day. He took it to a whole nother level. He's got his team will play in kilts. He's got a break dancing first base coach. He has a trumpet player walking a batter up to from the on deck circle to the plate. He does it completely outside the norm. And now he took it from just the summer league team to what he calls Banana Ball in Banana Land, playing off the banana theme hard to the point that he wears a yellow tux everywhere he goes. And it was just on ESPN Plus. They had 2 nights of actually showing what Banana Ball is. And he's got a behind the scenes miniseries of, I think, like 5 different episodes on ESPN. I mean, he's getting so much he deserves everything he gets because he is such a genuinely amazing human. And his wife, Emily, and the support in what they do for the fans. His company's name is Fans First. And he does everything for what he thinks the fans want, deserve, or should have the chance to be exposed to. And he tries everything you can imagine. Such a great guy, such a great story. And he's now taking the banana ball out there. Banana ball is like, it's a 2-hour time limit. There's no bunting. If you bunt, you're kicked out of the game. You can steal first on a pass ball. The runner can just run to first and it's a live play. And on a walk, the runner can sprint and get as many bases as possible because the catcher has to throw it and it's got to touch every player in the field's hands and throw into each other before they can tag that person out or try to make a play on that person. So the whole, like, everything that's boring about baseball, they rethought the process and what it could be and turned it into banana ball. So everybody should take a look at it because it is entertaining as all get out. Amazing story.
And again, the first thought I had was, I don't think we have any guidance counselors sending people to become the owner of a banana ball.
And the players, you think about the players that are so used to their college baseball and the structure and the training,
very regimented,
and this and that.
Yeah.
And then they show up in Savannah and he's got a huge wait list of like 3,000 players that want to play for the Savannah Bananas because they want that environment. And they're not necessarily taking all the best players. They're taking the best fit that is a good baseball player. Mm-hmm. And they just won back-to-back league championships because the players want to play and they're energized every day, every game, and the camaraderie and the teamwork and what they have. You've got teams that are struggling with egos and people like having off days and like, I don't want to be here. There's like 7 people watching in the stands. What's the point? Whatever it is, he just creates a whole different atmosphere by bringing in people that are willing to go for it. They have a choreographer on staff.
I read that. Yeah.
I mean, their practices are like learning dances. But you've got to be a player that's willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But the benefit of what these players are getting, they're becoming social icons of their own, and they're getting drafted in the majors. And a lot of that is not because they're the best baseball player, but they're a great fit for moving on in their career. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be great in the dugout, and they're going to be serious about the game, but bring an energy that honestly gets lost in all of our careers.
You know, and Jeff, again, it's that really what Jesse's created is he's giving, again, somebody an opportunity to change who they are or to find who they are. That might even be the better way to put it. And I think that's, you know, again, that's part of that, you know, looking back at Biz Tank and then the podcast, Fueling the Tank, it's all about starting something, being willing to take those risks to start something, but also it's for others. It's for the group, not for me. It's for everybody involved.
And if you take the fans first mentality, and honestly, I'm not going to lie, a lot of knowing Jesse for all these years and just kind of being honest with myself that I have a little bit of that type of personality where I'm okay with it being a little bit off, a little bit different on a day-to-day basis. And that fans first mentality, when I said earlier about Interstate music and I said musicians first, I didn't connect those dots until after I came up with the concept of musicians first. And then all of a sudden I just did a kickoff meeting with my team and Jesse sent a video, you know, to talk to my team. And he's just that kind of guy for me. We built a really strong friendship.
Yeah.
And in that meeting, when I was watching that video and he was talking about who we were as a team, who I was as a friend and a person that he's gotten to know, and how I've always seemed to put the people first. And all of a sudden I connect the dots. I'm like, me following Jesse has a lot to do with my musicians first concept.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
So I give a lot of credit to Jesse just for like really being so authentic about it and so truthful and believable and real that I've kind of wrapped my arms around it to the point where I'm doing stuff. It's becoming more normal for me to do it that way. And so shout out Jesse Cole for putting some stuff in my head that I didn't even know I was doing.
Well, absolutely. But also, and again, I know we're kind of running a little long here, but I wanted
We
to
always
jump.
do. It's my fault.
This is a commonality between us, my friend, And you know what? That is why podcast players have the 1.5 and double speed. If they don't like it, shorten it up if you want. I'm good with that.
Yep.
A lot of what I've seen though recently, and again, this is over the last year or so, is before I go in, these ruminations of, this is Jeff thinking out loud and recording it. But again, it's that sharing of that philosophy. I still believe it's more of a sharing for others. But if you wouldn't mind, just if we could talk about that for a sec.
It's funny because I come into work, I don't drink coffee, and I have all this energy when I wake up. It's like crazy. Everybody kind of is like, Peterson, I'm not ready for you right now. It's like, go be Peterson somewhere else. I'm not ready yet. I am not ready yet. And so I'd come up with all these ideas right when I woke up, as soon as I got in the shower. I'm sorry, but everybody's got this really terrible visual right now. And I apologize.
Yes.
I apologize. However, I have more ideas that pop in my head out of nowhere when I'm in the shower, first thing in the morning. So I come in and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had this idea. And I always thought, boy, I wish I could have a thing called thoughts from the shower, but that would probably...
When I was in the shower, that probably wouldn't play well on LinkedIn.
It'd go different directions and you wouldn't want to Google that.
Yeah.
So it really ended up being something that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put myself out there and just what I've got in my head. And they're going to be one takes. It's not going to be like, oh, that didn't sound good, I'm going to redo it. If I say it and I get all the way through it, it's going out. Like I made the commitment, like it's going out.
Yeah.
If I stumble through it, it's not good enough in my head to put out there because I don't have it straightened out. It's not a full thought to me if I'm struggling to try to piece it together. So every single video that you see is like me hitting record, whatever it is, and I put it out there and I don't think. I just pass it, boom, and it's posted before I can like have the time to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that or whatever. But it really is.
It's long gone. It's ready to go.
I've gotten more comments and more traction and engagement and people reaching out to me about those videos than anything I've ever done, honestly. And it's because I think I'm talking about random thoughts about business, employees, career paths, challenges, just whatever it is that I think we all at some point think about, bounce around, wonder about, and I'm just sitting there putting it out there. I don't even do it consistently. I'm not like, okay, I've got to do one every week. No, I've got to do one every time I'm driving in and it's in my head.
And it will not leave until I record this.
Yeah. And I'll just park it and boom, do it. And I will not force it. And it'll come when it comes. So you might get 3 in a week. You might get none in a week or, whatever. But thanks for bringing it up because it's gotten a ton of play.
Yep, absolutely.
I've had a lot of fun with it. And it's nice to be able to share, stuff out there without anybody being able to criticize you because nobody's in my car when I record it. Mm-hmm. They can criticize me all they want through a LinkedIn message or through a comment. But in the moment, I can just play it out and put it out there. And it's really a comfortable way for me to do it. I think more people should share their thoughts.
I absolutely agree. And it's interesting,
It's gotten me business.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
And I'm like, what? They're like, I just really align with your videos. And I wanted to find out more about what you do because you're the type of person and I'm assuming the type of company that we would consider doing business with. So let's explore that. I did not do it for that reason, but I'm going to tell you right now, we have business because of it. Crazy.
It's interesting. So with all these accolades, the accolades that you've received, this small business person of the year and all of these things, all of a sudden people can start to think, you can get a little bit of a big head or big for your britches and like tighten down, it's like, I don't want to lose that and tighten down. And I think really what I see here is it's the humanizing of the Geneva Supply. And I think it's very important for businesses to, at least the owner or the CEO of that business, to let people in to see who they are.
Yeah.
Because do I want to work with that person? Do I want to align with that person? And a lot of the random thoughts. I mean, hey, sunset versus sunrise,
Right.
Random thought, but it allows people in.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, one of the gifts here is that you're allowing people in to, again, go on your journey. Yeah. And it may be that random thought that kept you awake all night.
Yep.
But are they in alignment with that? And again, I think that goes to that point of people really like to do business with people they like.
Yes.
And that's really what you're giving the opportunity. Do I like what he says here? Maybe we could have a relationship.
And honestly, it's kind of nice. If they don't like me, let's end it now before we even start. Let's go.
Let's not force this issue.
Yeah, you're not going to like this personality is this or that to you. And let's face it, I have an ego and I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
If people go around thinking that they don't, they're lying. Is it what I strive to be? No, it's not. But I'm proud of all of this and all the people and where we are and what we do. And I'm doing an okay job at it. So big head, no. Proud, ego boost.
Yeah.
Elevated because of people letting me know how they think I'm doing and how they feel about what I'm putting out there and this and that. Yeah, I like that. I like that because I don't know that unless somebody tells me.
Right.
I've told team members here, listen, sometimes pull me aside and tell me all the cool things that you've been doing. You pat yourself on your back to me because otherwise I won't know you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I want to know you did it. And it's okay for you to be proud of yourself and have an ego about something you did for this company that took us someplace different. It's okay. It's okay to talk about it and say it, but it's not like, oh, so now you get a bonus and now you get a pay raise and now you think you should get, that's when it gets too big. That's when that gets
right.
But if you're just letting me know because you're proud and you helped move us further down the trail, that's okay to be proud of that.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk about that because if you don't, nobody knows that we're doing anything.
Interesting. No, I mean, one of the things that just jumped in my head is like ego versus narcissism.
Yes.
And I think that's really this right there. That's just kind of the separation there that are you proud of what you do? And, you're proud of your accomplishment, but you're talking about it with the hope that others will be inspired by it. Or are you spouting because you are just so full of yourself that that's the most important thing, the most selfish thing, that is the most important thing. There is a difference.
I'm an outgoing personality. If I'm in a room, odds are you're knowing I'm in the room.
Pretty much. I can attest. Yes, I can attest, my friend. Yeah.
And people will think, oh, it's because he wants everybody to know he's in the room. Reality is I don't care, but this is my personality.
Yeah.
So I can't control it. And it's hard for me to stifle it. And when I stifle it, it's not me. It's not authentically me.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't want to talk and somebody needs somebody to talk, give me the microphone. I'll do it. Whatever. I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with being in front of people. And I'm okay with making a fool out of myself if I end up making a fool out of myself.
Right.
I'm fine with that too. So it can get muddy sometimes when you've got a bigger personality and a more outgoing personality. So it's tough to navigate through some of that because I'm sure a ton of people think I'm a cocky asshole.
Well, but I think you're generally interested in not only either the situation or the person in front of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes, again, that can be misconstrued and misunderstood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But don't stop. If it's you, keep doing it. Be you.
Yeah.
You don't have to backpedal out of who you are because you're worried about what other people are going to think of you. If you're you, just be you.
Is what it is.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, my friend, we should probably wrap this bad boy up, man. It's absolutely a pleasure, getting to catch up again.
I want to be episode 174.
If I make it that long, you are down for 174, my friend.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, hey, again, thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And I love keep posting, keep throwing the random thoughts. I love this stuff.
Hey, keep doing this because this matters. What you're doing matters, and keep doing it. And it's great to see your success, your journey. And honestly, it's not always easy to keep on getting guests and still having an energy and asking really insightful questions and having it feel different every episode. And you're doing it. And that's not a common thing. And it doesn't matter how many views or listens it gets, right? Because if it gets one and one person was like, it turned them a direction or gave them insight or a thought, that's why you just got to keep going, keep doing it. Love it.
Will do, my friend. All right. Until our paths cross again.
Absolutely. We'll see you. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, consider sharing with your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast application. Links to sponsors, products, and services mentioned during this episode can be found in the show description area or at www.distributiontalk.com. Distribution Talk is edited and mixed by the brilliant team at the Creative Imposter Studios. This episode was brought to you by my company, the Distribution Team. We are a consulting services firm dedicated to helping wholesale distribution clients remove barriers to profitability, generate wealth, and achieve personal goals. To learn more about how we can help your company succeed, check us out at www.thedistributionteam.com.